Kelsey.
Yes.
This is blowing me away.
Well, I'm trying to be Kelly Clarkson. I started 5 years ago. I know we haven't met. It's so great to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So I started this online show interviewing people on YouTube 5 years ago, and the goal was always, I used to say, a motivational Jimmy Fallon, but really it's been like what Kelly Clarkson does. She comes out singing, and then she has her guests and she has her motivational segments, and she got renewed, which means it's a good concept. See?
Yeah, and you're on to something.
Yeah, eventually she's going to retire, and I'll be there. Okay, cool. So, guys,
I should have put a wig on. Lord, I've got one little ball on top of my head, but when you bring it down, I'm getting a haircut tomorrow. When you bring it down, I look like Carol Baskin. And so I was trying to be like, kooky aunt. I was going for the kooky aunt librarian vibe.
Now, you are a blonde, so you will understand when I tell you this morning I had streaks of, I'm going to go with school bus yellow, because I did my own hair last night because it was getting real bad. Because I'm like, if you look underneath, it's pretty dark. So I had some emergency toning this morning, but I feel like it's come around.
It's beautiful. It looks beautiful, my darling. And all this is so impressive.
Thank you. I'm trying. I'm out here. So wait, now before I want to talk your ear off, but I want to tell you guys a few things. So this is the first time to do this where I can see all your cute faces. And usually I've done a webinar, so I can't see the audience. And I just felt like it wasn't as exciting. But that also means I've never done this way. And I'm actually going to introduce you. So most of you all know Leanne. I'll do her official spiel in a minute. But I also have another guest today, and that is Diane. And I think Diane will probably be able to tell me how to fix this Zoom, actually. But Diane, so you can unmute, right? Or do I have to unmute you? Okay.
I can unmute.
Okay, cool. And everyone else, if you're not either of them, please mute yourself until we have the Q&A towards the end. So you guys, Diane is a friend of mine. We met in real life at a conference. And what's crazy is in the midst of the COVID, of the Rona, okay, of the crises, she has rebuilt her business and is helping thousands of moms who are now stuck homeschooling. So she is going to do, you can see down, there's two Dianes and one, yes, see, she's going like this. She's going to do a live doodle of our episode. Okay, now Diane, tell us your story, please, because it's so awesome.
Yes, and real quick, if it does become more than 25, you're going to get a little triangle on the right that's going to say screens, and you'll see 25 per gallery page. So I've been teaching a ton on Zoom. My name is Diane Bleck. I'm the founder of the Doodle Institute. I don't know why, but when God was handing out jobs, I said I want to be the doodle girl, and so I've committed to it fully. I've been working with corporations like Disney, Nike, Walmart, all of them drawing their business strategies large and small. And my biggest pivot has happened because of COVID-19 is that all these moms found me on Instagram because they were looking for activities for their kids to do. And I'm literally drawing for them every morning at 9:30 in the morning. Last week, they all wanted Star Wars. Then they want Pokemon. Sometimes they want a pineapple. But I show up at 9:30 every morning and I'm drawing with them. And I have a little download that I'll tell you about later. So if you're looking for like a break, give your kids your phone and give them Instagram, Diane.Bleck, and just let them doodle like crazy because they're going to love it. So that's a little bit about me.
Oh my gosh, so awesome? Diane.
I know. So I think it's so inspiring too because for her and myself and Leanne, we're all sort of live events people. That's where the money is. So for you to just reinvent everything that you were doing and pivot, and you got like over 9,000 people to sign up for the free version of what she has, and then a lot of those transferred over to become to pay for what she'll show you guys at the end. She has the coolest stuff to help you survive homeschooling. Okay. So I normally would start with this song, but I wanted to introduce Diane and tell you guys to be watching her as she's drawing. So I do, though, yesterday was Mother's Day. And I posted a meme. I don't know how many of you guys saw it, but I said, I know a lot of you moms deserve a dadgum Oscar for your performance accepting that gift. You know, oh, a card that's a glitter bomb and an all-day craft we get to do together. Yay! So I have a Mother's Day video that I want to show you. I'm also going to play one of Leanne's clips about motherhood. So let me share my screen and show that with you guys. This is also, by the way, this is a Taylor Swift parody. So if you've seen the Taylor Swift song, the music video, you will definitely get this, but I'm sure you've heard it because it was really big there for a minute. So this is a parody of her song. Let's see. This was my...
I promise that you'll never find a mother like me. Know that you're a handful, baby. I know you never think before you jump off the couch, and I'm the kind of mom kids want. There's a lot of cool moms out there. I know that I go psycho at the park. Never keep the right macaroni art, and I'm on my phone wherever we are. There's a lot of cool moms out there. One of these things is not like the others. Let you in bed, you steal all my covers. Baby doll, even if I can hover, I promise that you'll never find a mother like me. I'm the only one of me. Kinda wish that there were three. You're the only one of you. For the love, put down the glue. But I promise that nobody's gonna love you like me. I know I tend to make it about me. I know you hate when I count up to 3, but I will never leave you, baby. There's a lot of great moms out there. We had that fight out in the rain. I ran after you and called your name. I never want to see you walk away in a parking lot. But one of these things is not like the others. Coats in winter, sunscreen in summer. Baby doll, even if I can smother, I promise that you'll never find a mother like me. Hey kids, spelling is an age-appropriate milestone. There ain't no I in teen, but you know there is a me. Count your blessings honestly. I promise that you'll never find a mother like me. No, there ain't no I in teen, but you know there is a me. And you can't spell awesome without me. I promise that you'll never find a mother like me. I'm the only one of me. Baby, I'm your family. You're the only one of you. You're a mess and I am too. But I promise that nobody's gonna love you like me. Can you tell everybody Happy Mother's Day?
Happy Mother's Day!
I'm the only one of me.
Oh, stop that.
Oh, that's good, honey.
Isn't the wipe at the end, the kiss wipe at the end, just doesn't get much better than that. I mean, I didn't tell her to do it. She was just like, but so if you guys, I know some of you are new to me because you're a big Leanne fan and you just saw this on her stories or on Facebook. So I'm a motivational comedian. So I try as much as in my innermost being, I feel like I'm just a ball of snark. I really try to bring it back around to make it something, you know, redeeming and especially for moms, I try to make it encouraging. So that's one example of the parodies that I put out. So I'm going to show you guys a couple of my favorite Leanne videos. Well, I want to show the big one that kind of exploded. And then I want to show a Mother's Day one. And if you are one of my fans and maybe you haven't seen all of Leanne's content, you will love these two clips. So I have a technical question. Winning. So Diane, if I put it to share screen, but I want to see everybody's faces, will then you guys see everybody's faces? Exactly on screen?
You will be able to share the screen and see a few of us small, but you won't be able to see all of us at the same time.
Got it. Okay. All right. Going back to sharing screen. Okay, share. Here we go. Here we go. All right. So this is the big one that it's got over 19 million views now on Facebook. And we'll talk about what that was like when this happened.
Let me tell you about my family. I have my husband. We live in Knoxville, Tennessee. I have my husband. Thank you. I have my husband and my 3 grown children. I have a 25-year-old boy that's married to a darling little girl. And then I have my 22-year-old daughter and then my 20-year-old daughter, and she's still in Knoxville with us. And so these children grew up and left me with their daddy. And he is so not fun. And so he doesn't chat. And so I'm just at home talking to myself. And we've got 2 beagles. And we miss these children so bad that we just sit and kiss them in the mouth. So I'm trying to adjust to just being with their daddy. And so I bought him tickets to go see Def Leppard and Journey. Okay, let me tell you. Have y'all been to concerts lately with old people that are older than I am? Okay. We went, and I thought, oh, we're going to have a fun date. And I said, where are we going to go out to eat? And he goes, I don't have time for that. It was on a weeknight. So he went to the Pilot and bought himself a tall boy. And I think that's what it's called, and an egg salad sandwich from the Pilot. And so I didn't get to eat, and I was so hungry. And it dawned on me at a concert, you know, when I was 20 and I'd go to a concert, I was at University of Tennessee, and so I'd go to Thompson Bowl, and I'd wear a crop top, and I didn't care about eating. I wasn't hungry, you know. I was thinking what boys were going to be there, and I had on little bitty breeches because I still had a metabolism and my thyroid was acting right. Okay. So we go to Def Leppard and Journey, and everybody there is our age. And everybody's worried about the snack bar, first of all. And I was too. And I was so hungry, and I noticed that people had big Diet Cokes, like big buckets of Diet Coke, and were sucking on those big buckets of Diet Coke while the concert was going on. And every once in a while, somebody would stand up and then they'd sit back down. Journey has a little bitty feller from another country singing for them, and he's yummy. He looks like a little M&M. You could put him in your pocket. And you can tell he doesn't eat white flour and sugar. And he's singing and doing, he sounds like Steve Perry, but it's not the same. You know, Steve Perry's my boo. So it was like we were going to a tribute concert. But anyway, everybody in the band, besides this little fella, everybody had eaten white flour and sugar, probably had done dope and drank terrible things, and everybody looked sick, and the bass player looked like somebody I had bought my jewelry from for years, and they were just barely a-going. And then Def Leppard came out. It was that lead singer, I think he's got thyroid issues. His hair was just thin and didn't have a lux to it. And then I noticed he had little bitty tiny legs and a little pot-belly stomach. But he's saying put some sugar on it, which I hate that mess. I am a Earth, Wind, and Fire R&B gal, and I love my journey, but I was like, this isn't my thing. And my husband every once in a while would go, and then just sit down, because he loves it. But anyway, this little man with the tiny little legs and the thin end hair, and then he had this little bump right here, and I could tell that's a hernia. He's got a hernia. And I meant that he hadn't had time to get it fixed. He hadn't had time to put a mesh in. And you can just see it. It looks like my stomach, because I've had a hernia, but I've had mine fixed. And I thought, oh, bless his heart. But he'd do, and he'd prop a little thin, frail leg up on something. Oh, I thought, isn't it funny how things have changed since I went to concerts when I was 20? Everybody was walking out like this because everybody had inflammation in their feet. Trying to get to their car. It was like 10 o'clock. I thought, what are we doing out here? What are we doing? We gotta get home. We gotta get in the van.
Okay. I mean, I was gonna cut that off, but I couldn't. I love all of it too much. I couldn't shorten it. Okay, I got one more. So this one, let's see.
Who do you think's easier to raise? I mean, just yell it out. Boys or girls? Boys. Boys. Every once in a while, a little frail woman will yell, girl. And she's probably being threatened. But anyway, no. We love our girls. I love my girls. I truly do. And I know that when I'm in the nursing home, they'll be the ones to come and pluck my chin hairs. Because my boy will be off with his wife and her people. Because he said to me, he brought her home and he said, you got a terrible look on your forehead. And I said, oh, it's nothing against her. It's just I'm jealous because I thought you would only love me. I know that's twisted. I know it is, but he was the best thing that ever happened to me. All right, my kids all yell at me, and my husband, everybody's in a bad mood all the time, and he's the only one that's never fussed at me. And he was just the sweetest child growing up. And so when he said he was going to marry somebody and move off, it was awful. But let me say that I love her, and they live near us, and she's like another child to me, and it has been a blessing. She is very sweet and has forgiven me for my forehead looks. But anyway, but he said to me right before they got married, he goes, Mom, she's going to be my immediate family. You're now my extended family. He said, Mom, that's biblical. I thought, why did I show him the Bible? Let me tell y'all about him. He's an old soul. Have you ever met anybody that was an old soul? He was born an 80-year-old man. He has had a garden since he was in 6th grade. He plays the mountain dulcimer and the banjo. He woodworks. He makes spoons. He makes spoons. I mean, he is so yummy. All right, his favorite music is gospel bluegrass. His favorite, well, no, okay. Ding-a-ding-a-ding. All right. His favorite artist was Dr. Ralph Stanley. Dr. Ralph, look at you. Look at
knowing who Dr. Ralph Stanley is. Okay, for those of you who don't, he was on the Oh Brother Where Art Thou. That is probably the most famous thing he did. But he was the godfather of Mountain Soul. He ended up dying at like 92. He had a little cowboy hat propped on his head. Yummy. Okay, he would come through Knoxville and I would take my son to see Dr. Ralph when my son couldn't drive. They propped little Dr. Ralph up on stage because he was so old. I almost threw my panties at him because that's what you do to Tom Jones. And I love him. But anyway, I'm standing there listening to Dr. Ralph Stanley singing gospel bluegrass, and I think to myself, how many teenage boys are listening to this? What are teenage boys listening to? Rihanna, Waka Flocka Flame, some of that nasty goings on. I thought, wouldn't it be funny if I had to yell at my boy, turn that gospel bluegrass down?
Okay, so when I was, let's see, go back to super view.
It's hard to watch myself. It's hard to watch myself, honey. All I can think of is, oh, that thyroid nodule was poking out and making my choker do like that. And then the other time I thought, oh, I need to do a cleanse. I mean, all I can think of is I look at myself and I think, oh, Lord, have mercy. I need to go back to Weight Watchers. And my spray tan had come off, Kelsey.
Well, I knew it. If you could tell, I watched it many times. I've watched your stuff over and over because you're a master.
Oh, you angel.
I'm scared of the real stand-up, which we'll talk about. But I prepared a song for you, and I was inspired by that clip. Because I was like, I haven't done any gospel bluegrass. What can I find? Let's do some digging. Listen, do we need to have an intervention for that group? Because there's a lot of songs about death, a lot of death. And I realize it's like Going Home to Glory type songs. But I was kind of
for Oh Brother Where Art Thou? For that?
Well,
for that soundtrack?
Well, yeah, and looking up, I looked up just various honky-tonk gospel bluegrass artists, and it was all kind of, I don't know if I could, because I write parodies, right? So I was like, I don't want to take a death song and make it about COVID-19, but that's what I did anyway. And I also know that I don't think there's any way that you don't know this song.
Honey, you need to hold on to that one. That one needs to keep going.
Well, what I did is I recorded the track with all the harmony parts, and I'll make a video with me doing all the parts. I played drumsticks and I played the ukulele, but I'm not good enough yet to stand here and play the ukulele. So, but that was just for you and your son.
Well, thank you, my darling. And you need to make sure that you wear like a Western polyester cute suit like Casey Musgraves does now, but also little Dr. Ralph wore that. Little bluegrass men wear that old-timey suit with a little tiny cowboy hat propped on one side. And they look like they've got a perm.
I'll look on Amazon. Surely
okay.
They have tiny cowboy hats for me. Well, if you guys don't know Leanne and you just saw a couple clips, she's hysterical, but she has been on The View. She's been on Nick at Night. No.
Nick at Night. Yeah, Nick at Night's Funniest Mom.
Yes. And many other TV shows, and of course, touring nationally, selling out all over the U.S., a headlining comedian. But what's crazy is that, so in researching and listening to your other interviews, because when your big video came out, you talked about having older kids, right? Your kids were grown when that video came out. So I kind of just thought you had started later on, like that you started comedy much later on and then, sort of exploded or whatever, because you're so funny. I mean, you're so funny. But then I realized that you'd actually been doing this since your kids were much smaller, right?
Since they were babies. My baby child was a year old when I got started, and she's 22. So I've done it 21 years.
See, I don't think most people realize that. That's amazing. Now tell us
Thank you, my darling.
what was that like when they were, like, I'm just imagining you juggling 3 children and then being like, I'm going to an open mic. What was that like for you?
Well, that was the thing. There wasn't an open mic. When I first started, I was in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, and there wasn't a club near. I drove to Nashville and did Zanies and opened, and that's the only club I'd really worked at, and I didn't even know how it worked, and I don't even know how I got on. But anyway, Brian Dorfman, who's a good friend of mine, who's doing my national tour now, said to me 18 years ago, Leanne, you cannot do this with 3 babies. He said, Roseanne did it and had them in a station wagon in the parking lot of clubs, and it didn't turn out well. And I thought, oh, I don't want anything, I don't want to raise children at a club. And so I thought, in my mind, I thought, I'll figure out another way. There's got to be another way. And then my husband and I moved from Appalachia Mountains. He had a mobile home business, sold it, went to work for a large mobile home company. We moved to San Antonio, and that's the first time really that I was in a town with a club. And so I started going, and things just started happening pretty quickly for me. But it wasn't until I went back and forth to Austin, Cap City Comedy Club, which is one of the best clubs in the nation. Margie, that still runs that club, was a mom, and she's got a daughter, Rachel, same age as my middle child, and she believed in me and lifted me up. And from that day forward, I mean, she moved me from from opener to headliner for the first time in their history. And then Rich Miller, Dennis Miller of Saturday Night Live, his brother is part owner of that club, sent my CD to Los Angeles to Jimmy, his brother. I got a deal with Warner Brothers and ABC for a sitcom based on my comedy. Paula Deen was going to play my mother. Anyway, and it didn't make it, but just things took off from there. Once I got in front of people, I think that I was unique. There's not a lot of women, and there's not a lot of women who are clean. And I say clean. I mean, I talk about stuff that, having to prostitute myself to my husband so my children would have good shoes. I mean, I talk about real, stuff, but anyway, clean. I'm a pretty clean comedian. And so I think I just was unique. There just weren't a lot of people, like me. And so I started getting things like Nick at Night, Dr. Phil, Hilarious Housewives. Like I was in these contests, and I never won them, Kelsey. I was always a bridesmaid, never the bride.
Yeah.
And I would think, is this going to be it, Lord? And it wouldn't be. But anyway, and then television deals came after that. And I've got one right now with Sony Television to develop a sitcom based on my comedy. But anyway, I've had ups and downs. You probably heard me say in interviews, there's times I couldn't get arrested. And then there were other times when I was on top of the world. I've always worked steady, but I've been on tours and different things, but I've always put my children first because I wanted to. And also, my husband had a big job and was gone all the time. And somehow it worked out. If I'd have done clubs coming up, I couldn't have left them. He was gone traveling during the week. So I was so lucky to get on with the Southern Fried Chicks. And we did beautiful theaters all over the United States and Canada, and casinos and all these performing arts centers. So my husband took care of them on the weekend, and I'd go and do a couple of shows and then come back home. And I've done a lot of private corporate things and a lot of women's events and that kind of stuff. And some clubs just sprinkled in there over the years. Every year, maybe 5 or 6 clubs.
Right. Okay. So I want to talk to you selfishly. I want to ask you all the comedy questions. But first, I know a lot of people want to hear about other things. For example, what would your advice be to somebody who has either a big dream or an unconventional thing that they want to do, and they have little babies?
Well, I tell people I'm a dreamer, and I believe that you've got to try it, because if you get to a certain age and you didn't, you're going to regret it. And I just looked, there was something in me burning. I knew I had to do it. And even though there were times when I thought I was frustrated and I thought I can't do this, but there was something, I feel like it was God saying, this is what you're supposed to be doing. It was just something that I could not shake. And if somebody's got something like that, I think you need to do it. Give it a shot. You got one life to live. We're not going to be here very long. I say, give it a shot. And you know, if it's not what you thought it was going to be, okay, then go on to something else, you know, but you got to try it.
Well, I don't know how much of my story you know, but a couple years ago, we packed up everything. I felt like God was saying, do it for real, quit half-heartedly doing this. So we're from Oklahoma, and we live in LA. We packed up our daughter and our 2 elderly dogs. We left our entire family, and we moved to Los Angeles, which I realized sometimes, like, in the age of the internet, do we even really need to live here? But it was clear that that was what we were supposed to do. And we did, and it's been awesome, but not easy. But I think, so what we did was I thought, okay, well, our daughter is about, in a year, she'll be starting kindergarten, and I want her to feel more settled in the community. So that's why we did it then. We felt like if we don't do it now, it's going to get harder and harder every year to go for the dream, and we would regret it. So I love that advice about you have to at least try it. How did you physically, mentally, and emotionally juggle little kids and trying to grow a career? Like, were you waking up early to write jokes? Did you have a nanny, or how did you actually do it?
Well, first let me say that I begged Chuck Morgan to move to LA when I was probably your age, and I said, please, we can live in a trailer, and we'll cook off a hot plate. I know I can make it, Chuck. I can make it. And he was like, we've got to have health insurance. So thank goodness. I mean, that was not my path. So I'm glad that you did it, you doll. I'm proud of you, because I wanted to go bad. Okay, what did you ask me, Kelsey? You said what, baby?
I said, well, first of all, let me just comment that what's funny is after we got here, my husband's a superstar and his job skyrocketed, and he's like the king of the world, and I'm still over here like, can't get an audition, can't get an agent. So, there's this story in the Bible about how they left, and it was actually for the other person, like they were here for my husband. Great. Anyway, it's fine.
But praise God for that.
Yes, I know. Yes, and he's very supportive.
Oh.
I could not be luckier. But the question was, like, physically, mentally, emotionally, how you did it. Did you get a nanny? Were you waking up early to work were you working when they were in naps, when they were napping?
Lord, no, baby. I took a nap when they napped. I don't have a lot of stamina, okay? I got a nap when they nap. I've never had a nanny. I've had some family help me at times, but not much, because we lived up, in the mountains of East Tennessee after we came back from San Antonio. In San Antonio, we didn't have anybody. I don't know how I did it. I think I wrote because my comedy is based on, just things that have happened, things I observed, things about myself, my kids, my husband. And so if an idea came to me, I just wrote it down on a little piece of paper. I'm the most unorganized person that's ever been. So there's Post-it notes and on the back of a checkbook, and there's stuff written everywhere. And then if I remembered it, I've probably got 4 hours in a trash can somewhere, or in an old purse, an old Coach purse that I hadn't looked at. But I would try new material out in the parking lot with my friends and the pickup line and stuff, because because my husband traveled and was gone and is an executive with a big company, I was always taking care of them. And so I would run, like if I was telling a funny story and I think it hit with a bunch of women, then I tried on stage, the next time I got to go on stage. I mean, there were times when I was touring, I'm not kidding, 50 dates a year with the Southern Fried Chicks, and would have a television deal and be, and then everything stopped, and then I wouldn't hardly work, and then something big would happen again, and then I'd be off to the races again, and then I'd be in comedy festivals in Montreal, and then the next time, you know, I wouldn't work for a while. I mean, it was just crazy. But I look back on it, and I really see God's hand in it, because, you know, my children are now grown, and when they're little bitty, I did miss some things, not a lot, but I did miss some school stuff.
Do you regret that?
It does make me sad, but for the most part, I was there. I was there for them. But there were a couple of times that it does make me sad. But I know in my heart, I've given them everything I had, you know. And then in middle school, they needed me in middle school. They needed me in high school. It was just, you know, I understand why women, it's a hard thing for women to do if you got a family, to do club work. You know, like somebody I admire, Tammy Pescatelli, Caroline Ray, you know, people that have been out there and working like a man in a comedy club, and they've got children.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's hard. It's hard. I mean, I've been doing it lately, and I don't have anybody that needs me, and it's hard. It's a grind. So I admire women doing it, but you don't hear of many getting to do it because it's so hard. Men get to do it because if they're married and got a bunch of kids, their wives at home tending to the children. But it's a hard thing. What you're doing now, say in the comedy world, you do all kinds of things that you don't have to just do, you know, go out and do clubs or whatever. But it's fun. It's fun.
Well, I miss being on stage, you know, with all the virus and everything being shut down for who knows how long. I miss being on stage. I miss being out traveling. I miss seeing the people and hugging people and, you know, meet and greets and stuff. I was hoping to do a big fall tour, and that, we don't know, like small theaters, you know, just out there doing this type. It would be stand up and singing, you know, kind of a one-woman show type deal. But you know, I miss that for sure, which is why, but I'm glad, you know, at least we can do something like this where we can see all these shining faces. I'm looking at you guys.
And I do think people need comfort and laughter now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if people are sitting watching me on my back porch, it's filthy, talking about Jell-O salads, then, I mean, then people need people.
I'm enjoying your chats about Jell-O salad. And the Dillard's bedding.
Thank you. That hot Dillard's bedding. My little mama said this weekend, you just take my Dillard's card and buy whatever you want. If you want something else. And I thought, I don't want any more of the hot, big, fluffy. I'm in menopause. I would like a nice matelassé, preferably bamboo, that, you know, that pulls moisture away from you.
Yeah. Can you share with us one or two crazy shows from the road?
Okay. This comes to my mind. It's crazy because I almost quit comedy because I had a corporate private, you know, which can go any, you know, it could be like, whoo, I've made some money and I'm gonna keep doing this. Or I drive home in the car and call my best friend in comedy, Karen Mills, that I've toured with for years, and I tell her, this is it, I'm quitting. I'm going to work at Target, and I'm gonna put bedding up on the back, and I want everybody to leave me alone. All right, I did a show for men that make carpet fiber in Dalton, Georgia. You know, it's the carpet capital of the world.
I didn't know that.
It is. And it's not far from me. I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee, and then you go over Chattanooga and then over into Georgia, and that's Dalton. And you get the good deals on a carpet. Now, listen, if you need carpet, you need to go to Dalton and get carpet. But they had flown in these little Japanese men. So it was all men, which was not my demographic. And then it was half of them were non-English speaking Japanese. And I had to do, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour. Oh my gosh, where are they? And I felt like I was praying somebody would shoot me while I was on stage. It was, and there's another one, there's another gig that was, I knew it was bad wrong. The minute they asked me to do it, they said, can you speak Spanish? And I was like, no. But I know a lot of Hispanic comedians because I lived in San Antonio, and I've got anything you want. I've got filthy, I've got clean, I've got Christian, I've got, you tell me what you want Hispanic and I can get it for you. And they were like, no, it's okay. They need to learn how to speak English anyway. It was a Christmas party for these hotels up in the Smoky Mountains. And they had a little Cornish hen for all their employees, and somebody played a guitar. And then I got up there, and most of the people were Spanish speaking people, and like rocking a baby in the back of the room, standing and rock. I mean, I thought more than anything, you could hear crickets. I thought if I wanted somebody to shoot me, but I also thought these sweet people, they should have taken the money that they paid me and given them cash, cash and a Cornish hen. I mean, it was those kind of things that are just gut wrenching, they're gut wrenching. But for the most part, I mean, yeah, I've had wonderful audiences because, if you get a bunch of women together, you can go and they go nuts, you know.
I love women.
I do too.
Yeah.
And I love sweet men. I love sweet men.
But girls, we just have fun when we all get together. That's my main source of income I would say would be emceeing corporate events. So doing like the jazz hands in between. And yes, some of those corporate gigs, I've done some of those just were terrible, just so bad. So and I know also not just on stage or having bad gigs, but also the hecticness of it when you were raising your family and traveling and all that stuff. So what's your advice on people who are thinking about giving up, or it just seems like an uphill battle the whole way in their career, or if in their career, maybe their job, maybe they're not a comedian, but people who are just struggling to thinking about giving up?
I've thought many a time, is this really what I should be doing? And just, I feel like it was God talking to me. And I just always felt in my gut, I'm supposed to keep going. I would tell people, listen to your gut. If you feel like, I've got to, it's not done yet. It's not done yet. I got to keep going. Then keep going. If you feel like God has I feel like it's like a window shade. Like he's pulling the shade like, okay, girl, it's over, girl. You could go do something else. I feel like for most of us, we know when that's, like if it's a bad relationship that you need to get out of when you were in college. If it's a friend that sucks the life out of you, that's really not a friend. Anything like that, you got to know when I got to walk away from this. And I feel like we really know that deep down. If you just pray about it, you listen to your gut.
Yeah.
If you're feeling that, then you need to go with it. And I just never felt like I was supposed to quit. I just always felt like, even on the way home, and it'd be some horrible thing where I thought I just ate it on stage, and I thought, I don't want to do this anymore, or I don't want to go to a Marriott and a weird little man that runs the sound says, hey, don't suck. I just thought, I can't do this anymore. And then, God would go, here's a big something, to keep you going. That's my Beatles. So yeah, I just tell people to, listen, because you'll find that answer. We all know.
So tell us behind the curtain a little bit of you have an idea, something happens, you make a note on the back of some random napkin that gets lost in the bottom of your purse. How does that translate into a 5-minute clip that we see on Facebook?
Well, okay, say the old people in concerts. That's the first time I'd ever done it.
The video we watched?
Uh-huh. That's the first time
rude.
I've ever done it.
That's rude.
Which is what I know, and let me tell you, I do it so much better now, and I've added on to it. I've added on to it, and I've tweaked it. That I did that for the first time that night, and we just happened to get it on film. And really, I mean, I think it's disjointed. When I look at it, I want to cringe. But it's you know, it's in a club, not at a corporate event. Not at a church, not at, it's, you can work those things out in a club better than anywhere with an intimate audience. And you just gotta, you know, even that bit, I knew it was a good one. I thought, oh, I'll use that. I didn't know it was gonna have, you know, this kind of impact. And I had no idea it was gonna do that, but I tweaked it. It takes a long time. It takes, you know, like it's not even, it is similar to what you've seen, but on Stage Now Live, it's very different. But it takes a long time. People don't realize, you know, when they think of comedy, they think, oh, people just get, my first 45 minutes took me 10 years. 10 years. And then, you know, and I did that act for 10 years. And now with the internet, you burn that material and people are like, okay, what do you have now? And you're like, good Lord, I'm 54. It was all I was 32. And I said, you know, it's hard to come up with, to put out that kind of, that really good material, you know. Oh, it's gut wrenching. That's why I admire what you do. If you can do videos and parodies and all that, that just keeps things so fresh.
Well, what I'm trying to work on for the live show is where it's bit song, bit, you know, bit parody, bit parody, bit parody, you know, throughout. So that's the goal. And I also started doing impressions, which I feel like you would be a very easy impression. I mean, your accent is just, even my daughter, I was listening to, we were doing homeschool.
Oh, my darling. I don't know how.
No,
bless your bones.
We're limping along. We're limping along.
Oh.
And I sent an apology to the teacher this morning because I was like, well, I just looked and apparently we're missing like half of last week's assignments, and I don't know how that happened, other than I do know how it happened because my husband's been helping me. And he started helping, and all of a sudden we got missing assignments. I'm getting off on a tangent. The point is, this morning I was listening to your videos to see which clips to put in the show, and my daughter goes, she sounds different. So like, yes, she does. But okay, so I want to open up for a couple questions here in a second, but just the last few things I wanted to ask you is specifically for comedians, because I know that there will be some that watch this when I post it online. You know, your advice to beginning female comedians, what would you tell them?
Well, I think my experience was so unusual than other people that, you know, how many people live in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. So if you're in a city where there's an open mic, start going to that open mic, really, and start working out your time and your material. And because I just think that's the best place to do it. I mean, even
open mics are the absolute worst.
What? The what?
I said, but open mics are the absolute worst.
Oh, they're horrible.
And it's in where I am right now, it seems that I found one good mic that's women only. And I found it right before the Rona hit, but I found one like a really supportive female mic. But for the most part, you go to these open mic nights and it's a bunch of 40-year-old men who this is their red Ferrari midlife crisis. And they go up there and they have therapy on stage in front of you. And those are the people in the audience. So like, I even get up there and I'm like, they hate me already. Like just standing here as me. So open mics, I know everybody says start that way, but I'm like, I'd rather post a video every day.
Well, and that's the new thing. See, my mind, I couldn't even wrap my mind around that. We didn't even have that.
Yeah.
So you're right. That is a way but I would think you would come up and be a light on stage, among a bunch of 40-year-old men that probably are smoking a little dope and, talking about smoking dope and doing all, the thing I would tell people though is I wouldn't worry about what you think they want or what the industry wants or what do you think, or I would, what is it that you want to say? Who are you? Be authentic to who you are and find your voice that way. Don't worry about what the hip thing is. If people are edgy, if people want this, and want that, it just doesn't matter. It's more about what you have to say, who you are. Let your light shine, as Dr. Ralph would say.
Last one before you guys, if you want to ask her a question, go ahead and you can hit the raise hand button. Be ready. Okay, be ready. If you want to ask her some questions, but I want to ask you, so you said, it took 10 years to go from your first 45 minutes. So I think something universal, maybe to someone like me who makes videos and you do stand-up, what's your advice on writing? Like write better stuff, write better material.
See, I'm probably not the best person to ask that because I'm just a storyteller, so I just have to talk it out. I don't sit and write. I may jot it down on a piece of paper, but then I work it out in my mind and in front of people on stage. And that's how I tweak it is, in front of people. And I find little, you'll like little nuances about Def Leppard man. He had little bitty frail legs. They were the tiniest legs I've ever seen and evidently a lot of rock men have tiny frail legs, So I just observe and I pick up things that are odd. I get that from my mother. She's very observant, and what I think is funny is probably different than a lot of people think is funny. But I know people who sit and write pages and pages and rewrite and do. It doesn't come to me that way. I've just got to talk it out, think it out, do it on stage, tweak it more. It's more of a live thing for me.
Yeah, but that's also good advice in that you got to find the way to write, find what works for you. I always start writing things out, but if I actually start talking out loud, it gets so much better right away. Just me talking out loud in my car by myself,
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's a good lesson for people who might feel like the only way to create or write or make material is to sit and write it out. And that's not the case, clearly, for you especially. And I usually start with some sort of written outline. And instead of having Post-it notes everywhere, I've got one notebook. I've told myself, just fill this one. So none of the pages make sense and it's just a scattered mess. And then I also have about 900,000 iPhone notes.
Yes, I do too. I have that too.
It's an iPhone note extravaganza in my phone.
Me too. It'll be like hemorrhoid and the Mormons, something bizarre. And then I think, what was I thinking about the Mormons and hemorrhoids? But yeah, I've got a bunch of notes like that too. And my husband he'll go through my phone to try to help me because it'll all of a sudden quit working. And he'll go, you need to delete some of this stuff. And he goes, what is this? Because it'll be the most bizarre things, but it's topics in my mind. Yes, Real Housewives, Vicki Gunvalson, something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so do you guys have the raise hand option down on the bottom? Yes, you do. or you want to just ask a question. How about if you want to ask a question, okay, Deborah, you want to ask a question? Oh, there. Okay, let's try you.
So we don't have the raise hand, but we have the clap or thumbs up.
Okay, so you can give me an emoji and I'll see you.
Yeah. But I just, Leanne, you're so real and so wonderful. And we saw you live in Tampa when you came to Ybor City, and we loved you. And it's just, this is just such a great venue for us to see each other react to you and Kelsey. And thank you so much for doing this.
Well, you angel. Thank y'all for having me. And I love Tampa. I love that club. We had a ball that night, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Yep.
Also, you guys, if you want to ask a question in the chat, I'm looking at the chat as well. So anybody else want to give me a thumbs up if they want to chat with Leanne real quick? Oh, Rhonda, are you going for it? Or I'm not seeing it? Well, if you guys don't have any questions, we can just check in with Diane here. Let's see.
They're probably thinking, oh, she has a bunch of old notes in her purse and needs to have a organizer come and work at her house. I do.
Who doesn't though? I mean, I do too. Of course, every time we move, which now we're in LA and we're renting, which is weird. That's new for us. So we've moved again since moving here, and every time I just throw everything away. Then there's nothing left to organize.
Well, Kelsey, okay, so you're doing some open mics, but mainly you've got videos, people see you, book you from that. So do you do a lot of churches, a lot of women's events, or?
Yes, women's events and churches. And like I said, I'm very well networked in the business world because when I started my talk show, I interviewed a lot of entrepreneurs and people in the business world like Tony Robbins and Gary Vee and some of these big like heavy hitters in the business space. And so I'm very well networked there. So corporate emceeing is one of the things that is my main probably gig.
And I would think emceeing would be fun.
It is. It's very low pressure, which is nice.
Oh, praise God.
Yeah.
When you get, you get to introduce somebody else that has to eat it.
Yeah.
Oh.
But then I also enjoy when I've been at events and the whole sound system just the whole system shut down.
Yeah.
The video system shut down and they were like, well, Kelsey, go out there and do something. And I was like, this is my moment. You know, so I went out there and did crowd work and stuff, but that was really fun. I saw somebody give me a raise hand emoji and I missed it. So go ahead and unmute yourself if that was you.
So I don't know how to do the raised hand, but can you hear me?
Yes, go Rhonda.
So Leanne, I have tickets to see you in October in Indianapolis. If that's going to open up?
Oh, sorry, y'all. I had two beagles hear a squirrel. You said, Rhonda, that Indianapolis, and you think it's going to open up and we're going to do it?
Do you think that will cancel? Do you have any idea?
I mean, nobody has mentioned canceling. Everybody has got fall dates and they've got them on the books and they're expecting them to go. I think June is a little iffy, is a lot iffy. And I think, I have heard that people are going full steam in July. And, you know, let's hope and
I'm hoping
feel comfortable.
I have tried tickets everywhere I could be that's close, and you're always sold out before I can get there. It's like,
oh my darling. Well, honey.
So I do have the tickets for Indianapolis. Please, please let this country open up so I can come see you, because I have to tell you, I have an 89-year-old mother, and when I listen to you talk about the Dillards and all that stuff, I just want to, you have no clue. My neighbors have got to think there's a crazy woman here because I am laughing so hard.
My darling. Well, honey, thank you.
You can do a show, just visit her a day because I was there yesterday and I walked in the door. It was at least 95 degrees in there, and she had on blankets and the Eden Pure heater a foot from her leg.
Oh, my darling.
Like, Leanne has to come visit my mother.
Oh, it's terrible. Somebody said today, because my daughter and I were in the bed in that Dillard's bedding, and it was this past weekend because I was in the country, don't have Wi-Fi. All of a sudden, it uploaded in the middle of the day after Mother's Day, and we did it like Friday night in the bed. But somebody said, if it's so hot in your little mama's house, why don't you buy her central air? And I was like, my mama's got central air? I guess people think I'm so country. That we're using the bathroom in a shed. But no, my little mom and daddy have got a wonderful air conditioner, but they will not turn it on. And I mean, the whole time I'm there, I just know I'm not going to sleep. I
immediately walk in and open the side door to the deck, and I don't care if it's 40 degrees, 30 degrees. I have the door open, and I have to stand there and talk to her that way because I can't go in there. It's so hot.
Oh, so, honey, I know.
Just crack me up.
I know. And then all that Tupperware with stuff in it, you don't know what's in it. Kelsey, you're going to, honey, someday, my darling.
And by the way, they can't open the lid, so why do they have the Tupperware?
I know. Everybody's hands are weak. You know, and mine are getting weak. I'm going to have to get those big things to, I'm weak as water. I can't even make a fist. I'm going to have to go to therapy. Oh, my darling. Well, honey, thank you for watching. But yeah, let's say that during COVID is going to be gone, and we're all going to get to go back and be doing stuff in October.
I will be there.
Before I'm going to take a couple more questions if you guys have some for Leanne, if she has time. But I want Diane to tell us about what all she has for tired moms and show us. Did you bring the little housey thing?
I did.
Oh, I can't wait, you guys. It's crazy. Okay.
I did. So I guess we'll show me and then we'll show my hands. Yeah. So the thing that went crazy, and it's one of the things, so Leanne, I loved everything you said just now, and I've been doing my work for 20 years, and it's one of those things that like suddenly it's an overnight success and all these new people find you and you're like, I've been here the whole time. Like, I didn't come anywhere different. Like, and it's so funny to just kind of, I loved whenever you said just like keep listening to like your gut and just keep doing it. And I remember thinking, I do not know why I'm supposed to be the doodle girl, but I am the doodle girl. And so this is the little house, y'all. So it's this cute little paper house, and your kids print out these little worksheets and make a little doodle paper doll house. And it's been so cute because people have put like their little teenage Ninja Mutant Turtles in here and all kinds of little Pokemon, but it's a little printout, and I can put the little link in there. It's a free little download. But the other samples of what I do is I teach how to draw using basic shapes. And my whole principle is I believe anyone can doodle. I believe we're meant to doodle. I believe it opens up this side of our creativity. And these little doodles can become your thinking notes, can become your visual notes, can become iPad notes, which I'm going to show you in a minute. And so then I teach people from the very basics of how to open your creativity all the way to how do you draw for corporations like I do, and how do you build a business being creative. And I have 3 babies, and I was doing 50 corporate gigs a year as a single mom and was flying all over. So it was kind of like stand-up comedy, but different. But I resonated with, like, I remember one event that I was doing, and I remember just standing at the board and just being like, so done with hearing guys in shirts pointing at lists and guys with lists pointing at shirts that I was like, I am going to lose my mind. And I was like, I'm going to go work at Target. So I totally, when you said that, I was like, yes, I totally get that. So one last thing I'll show is I love filling So this is my 2020 journal, and this is what's so funny, is my 2020 journal I actually drew upside down, which is how our world wound up turning out.
Is it your fault? Can we blame you?
All my fault. But I fill these little journals with pages, and this is what I teach my students in my community, is that when you put things on paper, you're just processing and moving energy through you, right? And then it helps you to get grounded. I think that's why so many people are loving my website and my Instagram, is that you just spend 10 minutes a day putting pen to paper, and it's like, oh, I feel better. This is a happy distraction. So I'll go real quick, and Kelsey, can you spotlight my little doodle now?
Yes, please.
So here's my little doodle.
So cool.
So I'll zoom in a little. So we've got the Oscar-winning glitter bomb card. And then I love Pilot. My one of my fathers-in-law would only get gas at a Pilot, and we would go miles and miles out of our way to get to Pilot. And then here's the 3 little babies.
Oh.
And then here's your napkin to stage. And then listen to your gut and write it all down and shove it in your purse. And what do you want to say? I thought that was a really great message. And then we've got, cute Kelsey up here with her little,
I have my streak, but it's coming back. I've had a pink streak in my hair forever, and it's coming back.
Yes.
I appreciate that. Thank you. It's very on brand.
Yes, I was trying to be on brand. But those are my little doodle notes from today.
I love it, Diane. I love it.
Thank you.
And I knew you would. Diane, please put in the link
oh, yes,
in the chat. So guys, in the chat, I put her Instagram handle, and I want to, before I forget, take a quick photo of all of us cuties here. Everybody smile and look cute. Thank you. Okay, anybody else want to raise your hand with Leanne before she has to run and call it a night? I thought I saw somebody, but you can just unmute it. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say thank you, Leanne. We absolutely adore you, and just keep doing what you're doing. Kelsey, you too. Your introvert, extrovert videos have been hysterical. I've sent them to all my friends. You ladies are the best. Keep doing what you're doing. You're giving all of us a ton of laughs in a really tough time. So.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so
you.
much. Okay, anybody else want to unmute?
Dan, you got to say it's all going to be all right.
Oh, it is. It is going to be all right. Everything's going to be okay. It is.
Okay. I love it.
That's
I already feel better.
on my when I post the I'll fly away video, I always say something at the end of my videos, like some real, it's like you break the fourth wall at the end. And I was just gonna say, this too shall pass. Like, we're not in this forever. There is an end. Even in California where I live, they're finally opening like one thing. There's like a beach if you drive like eight hours away. There's a beach that's open. But that means, places are opening back up. The world is starting to get a little bit more normal. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you so much, everybody who hopped on live.
Thank you.
And yeah, so we'll post the replay over the weekend. And tomorrow, you guys, if you enjoyed this, I have Tom Papa, another comedian. He's coming on. And
I'm a huge fan of Tom Papa.
Listen, I saw him live, which is what's crazy about LA, is that superstars just drop in and do 15 minutes, And so we were actually there to see someone else, and he came out, and it was the funniest thing I had seen in months. I mean, but also super, like, just a positive. You guys, he has a Netflix special right now called You're Doing Great, which is so timely for everything. Like, we're in quarantine, we're just surviving. And so he's got a new book coming out that's based off his stand-up special, They Go Together. and he's going to read a little bit of that, and I'm going to interview him. And then I also have a guy named Carlos Whitaker, who is an Instagram influencer that has been doing these amazing, like, hopeful stories throughout the quarantine. So I encourage you to come back tomorrow if you can. Same time, same place, your bed, couch, or your living room, or wherever you are. And Leanne, thank you so much. You have been so inspiring to me. Like I said, there are not very many women doing stand-up and doing clean stand-up. And also, I just feel like just so much of what you say, I feel like you represent so many of us, and we just love that so much. So
thank you. Thank you, my darling. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for spending some time with us. You guys, if you did take
October. See you October.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's not get canceled for you. And we'll see you guys later. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Now you get to watch me awkwardly end this. The best part. Bye.
Bye.